Hey, beautiful beings. Welcome back to the Faith and Frequency Book Club. Week 5 reminded us that listening is a lifelong practice that reaches across generations. The author reminded us to listen backward and forward in time, to hear the wisdom of those who came before us and carry that wisdom into the lives of those who will come after. As we close the book, we were reminded that listening forms a bridge between solitude and community, presence and absence, and despair and hope. Chapter 9, Rabbi. The author explored how our families and environment shape who we are. Place and time matter. We are formed by the rhythms, values, and stories that surround us, and those influences stay with us throughout life. He wrote that caring for future generations begins with remembering past generations. There is spiritual and intellectual capital found in the stories of those who came before. Listening to their experiences keeps us connected to a shared covenant that moves through time. The author reminded us that solitude is essential for transformation. Without moments alone, we remain tied to the illusions of needing to be relevant, impressive, or powerful. Solitude becomes a furnace that burns away the false self. It is where we wrestle honestly with who we are and who God is calling us to be. Silence is also a teacher. When we befriend silence, we learn to wait, anticipate, and pay attention to God's presence. The author described two ways of listening. The first is listening for, which focuses on solving problems. The second is listening with, which focuses on relationship and curiosity. Listening with creates space for God to speak in ways that surprise us. Practicing silence becomes a form of hospitality, an open invitation for God's Spirit to enter. Chapter 10, Accent. This chapter centered on community. The author wrote that every person needs places of dependable connection where belonging and trust can grow. We hear and tell the full story only when we listen together. Learning to listen to God also means learning to listen to others who hear God in different ways. True spiritual community includes a diversity of experiences and expressions of faith. God can be known in both presence and in absence, in celebration and in stillness, in community and in solitude. The author describes 6 different spiritual traditions, each showing a different way of connecting to God: contemplative through prayer, holiness through discipline, charismatic through the Holy Spirit, social justice through action, evangelical through the Word, and through the visible expression of God in the world. He encouraged us to see them not as divisions, but as different tones within the same divine language. He invited us to read the timeline of our lives with attention and care. When we look back and forward with intention, we begin to see how God's presence unfolds across every stage of our journey. Conclusion. Resurrection. The book closed with an invitation to wonder and hope. Wonder cannot be planned or controlled. It happens when we stay awake and fully engaged. The author drew a line between optimism and hope. Optimism depends on evidence that things will improve. Hope looks at the same evidence and still chooses to believe in new possibility. Hope acts with courage even when the outcome is uncertain. He described himself as a prisoner of hope, someone who continues to believe that new life is possible even when the world looks dark. Listening keeps us open to that kind of hope. When we listen with faith, we stay ready for resurrection in all its forms. For a moment of faith, this week take time to honor the generations that came before you. Listen for the lessons they left behind. Create space for solitude so you can hear your own heart clearly. Let silence be your teacher, and let hope be the voice that guides you forward. For signs of frequency, spend quiet time each day without distraction. Practice listening with others instead of only listening for answers. Notice where God's presence feels near and where it feels distant. Both can be holy. As you listen, stay open to wonder. Let hope rise within you and let it shape the way you live, work, and connect. Listening is not the ending, it is the beginning of resurrection. When you shift your thoughts, you shift your frequency. When you shift your frequency, you shift your life. Stay in tune, stay aligned, keep showing up inside out, and most of all, keep reading with faith and frequency.